It is the Riot podcast. Hello, welcome in. We just are basking in the glow of
ice cream.
The TV lights that we turned on after we tried a bunch of ice cream.
We did. We did a
glow.
Riot after show trying the Fruity Pebbles and the Cocoa Pebbles ice cream, which Isaiah brought for us, our show producer.
Did you get to try them yet, Isaiah?
Not yet. I'm excited to, though. I'm excited.
Yeah.
What does trying mean to you? Are you going to keep it with you, or like, are we taking a bite?
A full bowl?
Are you going to take a cup or a bowl?
I'm like a test kind of guy. Like I'll test a little spoon of it, and then maybe I'll get more if I like it. But I don't like to waste.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay, then you're going to learn to change. Because what we're not eating is getting thrown away.
So Isaiah, let's see. You can check out that on the RadioU Riot Facebook page.
Yes, of course.
I was looking if we had reviews, and we don't.
Oh, nothing new, but make sure you leave a review for the podcast and say hi, of course, anytime on our Facebook page at RadioU Riot or text 877 to RadioU, especially if there's something you enjoyed from today's podcast or if you have something you want us to talk about in tomorrow's.
You can share your opinion on the end of the podcast where I share what I was watching on TV last night. And out of all the options in the whole wide world on all the streaming services, you're not going to like what I picked. Or at least a lot of Nikki doesn't seem to. Some other folks
I think I'm being pretty nice about it, but you're pushing it.
Isaiah, how do you feel about it?
Same way as Nikki.
Okay, good. It's not just me. Here, have more ice cream.
Yeah.
But we support Hudson no matter what.
Yes.
We also we get into the Home Depot, how they're trying to curb crime. Mm-hmm. They're trying to stop the dad crime rings that are occurring throughout the United States. And Isaiah's training schedule for the 5K.
Oh, yeah, RadioU 5K.
Involves eating ice cream.
It's dairy. They always say, though, if you run a lot, like, I don't know, Isaiah, if you've ever tried it, but like chocolate milk's the best.
Well, you've got a runner's body.
That's like a recovery thing. So like the Cocoa Pebbles is not far off from that.
Exactly.
Yeah, just let it sit out for a few more minutes and that's your recovery drink.
You can totally justify that.
It'll be helpful.
So there's all that and a whole lot more in the podcast. And so we're looking forward to you listening to it.
Enjoy. Thanks for
We'll be
being
glad you did.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Riot.
Bye.
The Riot isn't all bad, but this is the worst of the Riot. RadioU.
Nikki, I feel like we're a part of this. It's good to be a part of something.
Something, yeah.
We're a part of YouTube just about passing Netflix as becoming the biggest streaming service in the world.
I pay for both, so...
You do?
I do.
I don't pay for YouTube, but I sure do use it.
It's the one that I watch the most, so I know that as YouTubers would amp up their ads, and it was like, how are there 5 ads or 5 segments of ads within one video? I can't.
Yeah, it is. YouTube definitely is the most frustrating when it comes to ads because if you don't pay to get them out, or if you watch somewhere where you can't use an ad blocker, they're just so arbitrarily thrown in there, and there'll be so many. It's outrageous. But the other thing you can't avoid is in certain videos where no matter how much you pay, you still have to watch their product placement stuff.
Oh, but that's in Netflix stuff too.
Well, no, that's
everywhere.
That's in the show where they'll be like, "Hey, should we go watch this? Should we go watch the Doctor Strange movie?"
Sure.
But in YouTube, it's like, but first, let's take a moment to acknowledge our sponsor, NordVPN.
This one that I watched that does not, like they do the in-video advertising like you were saying, they actually now put a countdown clock so they could see like you only have 60 seconds you have to hear this. And I don't know, I'm still trying to process if I like that or not. Because I know how I should fast forward. I just
then you just tap 7 or 5 times. But then I'm also
like staring at the clock going, but wait, I'll just keep watching it. But I'm not surprised YouTube is about ready to surpass Netflix as the biggest streaming service.
Yeah, and it's actually it's a little surprising when you start to break down the numbers, but how it works is, or at least what the metrics we're going off of here, is YouTube is already the biggest in terms of users, which is no surprise because you can just sign up for YouTube. You can have multiple accounts and you don't necessarily have to pay for any of them. But Netflix has been the biggest in terms of revenue. However, YouTube is about to catch up in terms of like sales and earnings because, and I would think the reason being is Netflix is making a lot of money, but they're also spending way more than I would think YouTube is.
What do you think that Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds movie coming up?
Yeah.
All right, that's your money right there.
Yep, that's your Netflix money is going there, where YouTube, they don't necessarily have to spend any money on content creation if they don't want to.
Yeah.
And they would still have a website full of all kinds of stuff.
See, I know they do some of their original stuff, but I think they've kind of shied away from
I think
that.
they realized that wasn't their forte.
That's not what they're known for.
Yeah. People weren't turning to YouTube because can anybody name a show on YouTube?
Cobra Kai.
No, I was going to say other than Cobra Kai, which Netflix took.
That's the only one.
Yeah. That was an actual show.
They say that, COVID changed YouTube and Netflix and the entire streaming industry. As everybody was home, streaming became the main outlet for entertainment. I mean, it was anyways, but let's just pretend it wasn't.
Yeah, it was the pandemic, though, of course.
That's what made us watch more, sure. So YouTube has become the top main site for news and entertainment and media, which would be like trailers and stuff.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, it really shows that YouTube is king because there's no YouTube stuff on Netflix, but there's every other streaming service stuff on YouTube. In other words, like Netflix has clips and trailers, and so does HBO, and so does Sony, and all these other brands, all these other companies that are creating content. They're creating their own original stuff for themselves, but a lot of it also winds up on YouTube. And even like legally, I'm not even saying like the bootleg type stuff.
YouTube had about $7 billion in ad sales during its most recent quarter, which was an increase of 84%.
Yeah.
We would say rate and review the podcast. But let's be honest, that would probably hurt more than hell. The worst of the Riot podcast.
Now, this is the time of year, Nikki, where we have to remember, we always assume we're talking to everybody as they just wake up. But because of the Olympics, it's possible people have just been staying up all night and now they're just rolling right into the riot. Maybe everyone stayed up to watch Simone Biles compete in the balance beam. She made her return to the gym overnight at the Olympics.
So they were saying that she probably did the balance beam because that was the one least affected by the twisties thing.
Yeah.
So if she was going to do one, it was going to be that.
I've thought about the twisties.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you want your, like, this condition or, this ailment that can affect gymnasts to be taken seriously, I think you should give it a more serious name than the twisties.
Well, maybe back then, before we were harder on everybody.
Yeah, you're right.
And pretty rough on everybody. You're like, what is it? It's the twisties.
Well,
you're like, all right, well, let's just name it
and
that.
Also, you have to remember, it's gymnastics. Like, it's not going to kill you. I mean, I guess it actually can be very dangerous if you're experiencing this supposedly. And
while
then
you're doing something.
Yeah, but it's not a actual disease that can affect anybody else, I don't think. So it's not like it should be called gym death fever or something, No,
I did see an article where they were trying to make it feel like everyday people could have the twisties. It's like, I don't think I can, but maybe, but for her.
Well, we could have it. We wouldn't even know because we're not jumping and doing flips.
You're right.
It's totally fine.
But the balance beam, so technically what I guess you would watch later today has already happened.
Yeah.
So she did participate. She did compete in the balance beam.
Yes. So if you want to save your ears and save your mind
I don't know
for what happened.
Like, is anybody waiting for tonight? Like, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but it's
pretty
much everywhere what she got.
I don't even know how the Olympic schedule works. Are they airing the stuff tonight in prime time that just happened this morning? That feels like a long time between, but I guess that otherwise you wouldn't have anything to show tonight. Except for things that were happening early in the morning at Tokyo. So I don't know, but we're going to tell you what she did.
It was 5:50 in their time, and so that
PM?
was 4:50 our time this morning.
Jeez, what a difference.
What a time. So you want to know? Everybody want to know
Here
what
we
she
go.
got?
Drum roll.
She got a bronze.
Bronze,
Bronze in the balance.
And
game.
before you get disappointed and thinking that that's not good enough for all the hubbub, it's what she got at Rio last year or 5 years ago at the Olympics.
It feels like last year, doesn't it?
It does. The time just, how does it fly between these Olympics that we pay so close attention to?
She says, physically, she says, I feel good. I'm in shape. Emotionally, it varies on the time and the moment. Everybody just seems to mention that these Olympics were really tough for them.
Yeah.
Not just mentally, but like going there, going through all the stuff. They say this was a pretty hard one for a lot.
Yeah, I think they had a lot to deal with already. Like when you're doing a specific Olympic sport, I think you're kind of on a 4-year schedule in a way. Like
because of not having it last year.
Yeah, so you're trying to ramp up for a certain time, and then all of a sudden that time is totally thrown off. And then all of the stuff where even leading up days before the Olympics, it's like, are they even still going to happen? Then you get there and there's so much coronavirus concerns going on. I mean, it would be a lot to deal with. So
I think
you do
Olympics
feel for these people, but
Olympics must be hard for athletes, and then they had all that other stuff.
Yes, yep,
So
exactly.
For some, it just wasn't. That's why a lot didn't go. They just said it wasn't worth adding all that to them right now.
Well, good for her that she at least was able to get back out there.
Congratulations.
And get the bronze medal.
So Simone Biles got the bronze in the beam, and you haven't watched it yet,
Yep.
or maybe you were up already and you watched it when it was live.
And now what we all want to know, not enough to find out, but is there other gymnastics things she can still do? Or
is it over, you
Is
mean?
that it? Yeah.
I don't know. I can't
Are we
tell.
not going to hear about this anymore?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. We'll have to look it up.
We've done you a favor by selecting the best of the worst and compiling it all in one place. RIOT Podcast, RadioU.
But we have our resident 5K runner in the building, Mr. News and Traffic and Mr. 5K. It is Isaiah.
Actually, he came in. We're like, yeah, you drink Gatorade in the morning. Okay, how about you run the 5K?
You must be the athletic one.
I walked in, they were like, do you run? I was like, what do you mean do I run? And they're like, do you want to run the 5K? I was like, you never really want to run a 5K.
Sure.
Nobody
Some
wants
people
to.
do. You'd be surprised.
There's a good reason we don't call it a fun run.
But you can walk or run it. There's no pressure.
Yeah. So, but we wanted to know if you've been training or if you're just going to, because the thing is, especially with the virtual 5K, with the in-person version, we don't usually have a RadioU person that runs it.
Well, we run the event, meaning we put it on.
Right.
That's really hard. Okay, I just want to point that out.
It's at least as much work.
It's worth
it's
a
at
medal
least
on
as
its own.
physically grueling.
But we're all doing that, and so we needed someone who was fast enough and able to go do the actual race. So Isaiah's going to run the race on Friday.
Yeah, my one of my friends last night, I told him I was going to run a 5K this upcoming Friday. And he was like, have you been running? I was like, well, no, I haven't been running. And he was like, dude, you're going to be rest of He's like, you're not going to make it. He said, you might tap out like 30 minutes in. He was like, once you hit 30 minutes, he's like, you might just tap out the rest of the race. I was like, no, I'm going to finish.
There's
I'm
no
gonna finish.
shame, and we wait for anybody who's done. But I have a feeling you're going to do way better. It's the people that are very not prideful about it, but very humble, who end up just smoking everybody else. So I think you're going to do fine.
Don't even have to worry about your actual time, but it is going to be difficult to actually literally run the whole course if you haven't trained.
We used to have
Exactly.
someone here who was super, super fit, and they decided 2 days, I think it was 2 days before, to run a marathon, and they ran the marathon, and they were fine. Just fine.
Oh,
What?
No training whatsoever. It was like, who does that?
Not people who eat Fruity Pebbles ice cream in the morning.
Not us.
No.
Well, we think you're going to do wonderful.
Yeah. So
I guess we'll see. What I'm kind of worried about is I am a competitor, though. I wish I could just take it easy, but I know I'm going to try to run.
Oh, push yourself.
that might be difficult.
It's gonna
on
be the
you.
worst part.
Not because you might be taking it too seriously and and trying to beat little kids at the 5K or something, but because the other, like we said, there's a few people that come to the 5K that will that actually do train and then just smoke you, so it's going to make you feel bad. I
know we would always have like some college runners who were like done in like 14, 15 minutes, and then there was a long break of time for everybody else. So you take your time. Everybody's perfectly fine to walk or run for our 5K. We've got an in-person version this Friday, and then the virtual version you can still sign up for. Walk or run it. Take your time. Enjoy and help support Radio U.
Does anyone tell you have a runner's body?
No.
Have you ever heard that?
Hudson.
What? No, I'm not saying that you do either. No,
I don't think we're supposed to say that.
No, that's somebody told me that before.
To you? They said it?
It was a guy who was a runner, and he said you would be the perfect runner because you're short and you're thin, so you could run for days, and your legs.
That's what it takes, I guess.
Yeah, so
short and thin.
I guess that's what I'm wondering. It's just that's something that runners say to each other. So I think,
okay, right?
Yeah.
Are we runners? Is that what we are? Me and you?
I'm not telling you have a runner's body. I'm asking if someone else has said it.
Not yet.
Has anyone ever told you could be a model?
Okay, on that note, we're done.
The definition of insanity is putting the riot on again and again and expecting a better result. It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
Well, your vacation to Lake Tahoe for this weekend, you might need to put it on hold because it might be ruined by the plague. Hey, at least it's not the coronavirus.
I actually saw someone a few weeks go to Lake Tahoe, and I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
No.
And I was never really interested until I saw the pictures.
Yeah, right?
It actually looks beautiful.
When they did the hockey games there, the outdoor hockey games earlier this year, I thought the same thing. I was like, I didn't realize Lake Tahoe was so amazing looking.
It looks really nice. I don't know if anybody's ever been there before, and can you confirm or deny?
Yep.
But at this beach, the South Shore part of Lake Tahoe, a chipmunk has tested positive for the plague.
Not just one.
Yeah.
Several of the chipmunks have tested positive for, and we're talking about the plague.
Yeah.
Like the one you should have learned about in
bubonic
school.
plague.
The Black Plague.
So I wonder what made them decide to test at the beach for it. Like how many rodents had to have problems before they're like, maybe we should test for the plague.
You know what? Actually, they routinely capture and test chipmunks, ground squirrels, mice, and other rodents because that it is a problem in that region of California.
So the
and not just
plague-
there, but also New Mexico, Arizona, Oregon, Nevada, and Colorado.
Yeah, it seems like the plague can be a part of a lot of rodents in a lot of areas.
Yeah, but fortunately, I mean, it's bad enough where they are closing the beach temporarily. They may have it open this weekend, but fortunately, the plague is not a issue as much for humans anymore.
Don't say that. That's opening the door. Don't say that.
Well, yeah, what if there's a variant?
No, I don't want to be like, well, Hudson was wrong. Now we have a problem. I know they said very few get the plague.
Yeah, 1 to 17 cases per year, according
that we know of.
In the United. Well, if we don't know of the other ones, then I guess it must not be very bad.
I don't want to find out.
Or it's what? Is it people off the grid?
Yeah, in the plague areas.
So we don't know about them?
Well, Aaron texted, said Lake Tahoe is gorgeous. Absolutely recommend. Thanks, Aaron, for texting. I just won't go to the South Beach, even though if you've ever, we have
it's a big lake.
We have a really nice beach near us that everybody's always like, yeah, it's one of the best. If you ever look up any beach, like online, to see its warnings, it's like finding your favorite restaurant has all these violations against it. Like
except
there's a lot
all
of stuff
of them
going
have
on.
the warnings. All of them. Some of it is just like an algae bloom and it's not as big a deal. And then sometimes it's E. coli, which we've already talked about in the show.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's dead bodies. So you just never know.
It's a sprinkling of everything.
Yep.
But you'd be surprised when there's warnings on beaches anyways and for the water. But this one, I would skip this part of Lake Tahoe.
In other words, I think Nikki is saying, what's the bubonic plague? It's just throw it in with
squirrels and all these little creatures.
Right. Just throw it in with all the other issues at the beach, and what are the odds you'll catch it? What are the odds that it'll be a big deal?
Well, next time you go and you're like, look at the little chipmunk. Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
You just have no idea what it's going to have.
Don't get too close. And I think another thing is keep your pets away is also something to watch out for. You don't want your dog to catch the plague.
Yeah, you don't.
So there goes that idea.
Well, I didn't want to go anyways.
Yeah. We were going to Lake Tahoe anyways. We just recently learned about it.
Well, I mean, I always knew, but it really does look pretty there. But even the pretty places, you just have to watch out.
We didn't know it was a viable vacation option until too recently to have scheduled a vacation.
And I would hate to come back from a vacation and then need sick time for the plague when you're the one who got that.
If you've ever asked yourself, just how bad can it get? We've got your answer right here. Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
Well, a lesson can be learned from this, and I guess this is unfortunate, but the lesson seems to be just because if you want to be less tired and more effective during the day, it doesn't necessarily mean spending more time asleep or in bed in general at night.
Well, I wouldn't mind finding out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if we could at least get a little bit more sleep to see.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be nice to test it out.
I don't believe them, but it would be nice.
But in this new study, this massive waste of taxpayer money in India, they found 400.
That's Hudson's response now to everything.
Yep.
Anytime there's a study, some sort of thing they're trying to figure out, it's always going to be a massive waste of taxpayer money.
If I don't immediately see the benefits.
Well, maybe this will help you understand, like, if a lot of us feel like we don't get enough sleep, but they're saying that there's benefits of sleeping enough.
Yep.
Like more sleep.
Uh-huh.
Are there other ways to get those benefits?
Yeah. Well, I think in this study, what they're saying is the line, you don't just draw a straight line from I've got more sleep, so I'm less tired and feel better and get more done during the day.
Yeah.
So what they did was they had 452 low-income workers in India in the Chennai area. I don't know if that's a province or a state or whatever, but Chennai, India. And so they gave them the wearable motion sensors that can detect their sleep cycles and stuff like that. And they had these people hired to do a specific job that was only created it's a data entry job that was just created so that they could measure how their performance was during this study. So what they found was that they were able to get these workers sleeping from 5.5 hours of sleep per night closer to 6. But
an extra half hour.
Yeah, they added an extra half hour. The workers, by the end of the time, because this is also where like the researchers were kind of coaching them on how to get more sleep and stuff like that. So by the end of the experiment, the workers were spending an extra 38 minutes in bed per night compared to when they started the study, but they were only getting 27 minutes more sleep. So there's one line right there where just because you go to bed earlier or something doesn't mean that you're going to get that exact amount of sleep every night. Also, they found that the workers tended to wake up a lot, and that is due. There's a lot of reasons for why in this area of India, sleeping conditions are really bad. Sometimes you're sleeping on the side of the highway. There's a lot of mosquitoes. There's a lot of just all kinds of reasons, because it is a poorer area and these were low-income workers that they had a difficulty sleeping anyways. So they say to compare this to if you already have insomnia or sleep apnea or some other sleep issue. But at the end of the day, they say that one thing that might be very beneficial is taking a nap during the day as opposed to sleeping at night.
Well, that seems
trying to get more sleep at night.
It's more popular to bring that up as an option because not everybody goes to sleep on time in the evening. Not looking at anybody in this room. No one here. Don't worry. Move along. But if you feel like you can actually sleep for 20 or 30 minutes in the afternoon, that it's not like that might have health benefits, but that might make you feel better and be more productive afterwards.
Yep.
Whereas if you try to get mad and upset because you want to sleep longer in the evening, what you might actually end up getting is still not enough to have the health benefits.
Yeah. And the other difficulty is because, again, these people were people that were based off of their conditions, waking up several times during the night and stuff like that. So it is hard for them to be able to. The other issue is your quality of sleep.
Yeah.
5.5 hours of sleep isn't the same across the board. If you get 5.5 hours where you're really in a deep sleep.
Or waking up.
Yeah, or opposed to where they say they could wake up to 31 times a night.
That's bad.
Yeah.
But I hear what they're saying. We should take a nap.
Yes, that's what we're going to take away. We should take a nap. And the other thing is that they specifically say that getting more sleep doesn't necessarily translate to better performance.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind for us. Our performance won't increase if we go to bed earlier.
Don't expect too much more out of us.
No, this
might
is
be
as
the
good
top.
as it gets.
And it also doesn't mean if you go to bed early,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you're going to get the same amount of sleep. We might still need a nap.
Yep, that's right. You might, instead of going to bed 20 minutes earlier, take a 20-minute nap.
If you missed out on the next Riot moment when it originally aired, you don't know how lucky you are. You're listening to the worst of the Riot podcast.
So Home Depot is trying to crack down on organized crime.
There's a lot.
Yeah, but when you think of organized crime, you don't necessarily think of Home Depot. I guess I just still always think of mobsters and the mafia and whatever.
Well,
but
this is more like if you watch, what is it, theft and like the prevention sort of side
loss
of teens.
prevention.
That's it, loss prevention. It's not theft prevention. No one's stopping it. But you'll just see videos of like security footage.
Yeah.
And people will literally grab an item or they'll put it in a cart and just try to walk out with it.
Yep.
And sometimes when it comes to like Home Depot and Lowe's for that equipment, that can be expensive stuff.
Yeah, that's apparently.
And
if
they
you
run
can,
with it.
If you can steal it, it's easy to resell and get a lot of money back for it.
Yeah.
And so even like, for example, there was a man in Florida earlier this year that stole $17,000 worth of power tools from various Home Depots throughout the state.
So, yeah, you know when you're trying to buy something from someone on Facebook and you're like, hey.
It's brand new in box. Like, what?
And they're like, I just don't have the receipt. So
Yeah.
I'm selling it now. And you're like, you stole it. That's what you did.
Home Depot's clever idea that they are testing out to try to take care of that is they are working on putting Bluetooth activation on the actual power tool devices, not even on the packaging.
Inside
but
on the
actually
device.
in the device, so that you would have to get it activated at the checkout before you were able to use it. Otherwise, you'd get it home, and if it failed to activate for some reason, or if you stole it and you were trying to resell it, it would be worthless. It wouldn't actually work.
Well, it feels like the tag on clothes sometimes, you know, like the
Yeah.
security tag.
Uh-huh.
And there's two problems. One is when the person does not activate it.
Yes.
And you have to go back.
Yep, that's definitely happened.
And then number two would be Home Depot. If you did this, you want to make sure you deactivate it or activate it after the person pays. Because if not, if you activate it
And then they run off.
then you just run off. So like you want to make sure you put that in the right order.
Nikki has found a flaw.
A loophole.
Well, and then, of course, what some people are concerned about is if you legitimately buy it, but then you want to resell it to somebody, how will this work?
It's probably just an initial.
Yeah, that's what
one.
I was thinking as well. Or the other thing is, will it be easy enough for people to hack where it won't actually make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
And because, it doesn't even have to be that easy for it to. Like the whole thinking is this will just make it too difficult for criminals. They won't want to go through the trouble. I don't think that.
Oh, they will.
Yeah,
They will.
they'll go through the trouble.
And they'll find a way to activate it at home too.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly
someone
right.
will
That's what I'm thinking.
Get with that. So for
At
Home
the
Depot,
end of the day, I was just going to say, at the end of the day, it just kind of seems like another thing that's going to frustrate dads. They get home and, why won't this darn thing? And
And
they're
then
banging it against the shelf and
and
whatever.
then they call you over because
Yeah.
they want you to fix it. But they say
Dad,
that
you're going to have to take this back to Home Depot.
this is needed because if not, they're going to start locking things up. They said,
Yeah.
and not everybody likes that.
I think
approach
I've
to it.
seen them have the locked up power tools before,
Mm-hmm.
actually. So I don't know. For us, it's not a big deal. Neither of us are using power tools, right?
I know, but one day,
I'm
sure I'll have to.
You know what this matters though? Because occasionally when I do use power tools, I always buy them secondhand anyways. I'm going to buy a bunch of them. They're not going to work because they were stolen in the first place.
Well, that's true that you want to make sure you try the tool out because if someone ran with it and it never was activated and they sell it to you, you wouldn't even know because it'd still be in the box.
Yep. So just be careful out there and don't steal tools from Home Depot as much as rewarding as it may be.
Something to listen to when you meant to work out but tripped into a box of donuts. This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
One of the few things we know about Isaiah, he loves milk, not coffee.
Yeah.
And what else?
Oreos.
Yes.
That's right. And he does not subscribe personally to any any streaming services whatsoever, right?
That's
He only has access to Disney Plus for the Marvel shows.
Of course.
So, with that said, have you seen the first Venom movie and have you seen the trailer for the second?
Yes and yes.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on Venom? Because the new trailer just came out.
Yeah, yesterday the trailer for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the new trailer just was released.
I think that this one looks pretty good, but I wasn't like an enormous fan of the first one.
Okay.
But I think that this one has good potential with what I've seen, especially adding Woody Harrelson. He looks like he'd be a good character in it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I feel like recently, like, all the superhero movies have been really, really hyped up because of Endgame and everything that happened with Marvel.
Yeah.
And then they haven't really, like, followed through well. We had, like, Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
And then Black Widow just, like, severely underperformed as well. So I'm kind of nervous that it might fall off a little bit.
That's a good point.
So you mentioned Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
I think we pinpointed, like, it was weird to see him. We were like, why does he look weird? It looks like they de-aged him.
Yes.
But then it also looked like, I don't think I've seen him with a head of hair.
Yeah. Do you think it was just the hair that de-aged him?
I can't tell at all. He has a very smooth face.
Yeah.
And he's always turning into the creature thing.
Yeah.
So I think they're just like, let's just make him look that smooth.
While we've got he was like, while you've got the visual effects out anyways.
Yeah.
Why don't you make me look a little bit younger?
While
And
you're at it.
He seems a little odd in it. But he wasn't in the first one, was he?
No.
Okay, so it's just this one.
So what is the deal with the first one? Was it just so different than all the other Marvel stuff? It's just so kind of nasty in a way?
It was its own thing. Like, it was so different from the other ones that, like, it was so good, a good movie, but it wasn't, like, connected at all. And it was like it's completely own
it doesn't,
thing.
like, you wouldn't make a connection if you didn't know that they were connected in the comics. Marvel, like Spider-Man.
I didn't even know it was Marvel. I didn't even know.
Well, yeah, so Venom is normally a Spider-Man villain, right? But because of the the Sony rights, these are Sony movies with all these Spider-Man villains, but Spider-Man isn't in them because he's with the Marvel movies. Yeah, so
it's messy.
That's why. But that's good. Sony's like, thank you, very good, Nikki. You're keeping the story straight more than Hudson and Isaiah are just complicating things for us.
Well, I wasn't sure because I never saw the first one, and I couldn't tell because some clips I would watch, they'd always show me clips on Facebook, and it'd be like, is he funny? Is he mean? Is he just misunderstood? Like, I just can't tell what Venom is, and so this one looks, I just can't get past Woody Harrelson, so I'll have to watch it again without looking at how de-aged he is. I just can't.
So are you going to be in theaters the first day for this one like you were for Black Widow? Or?
No, I will not. I probably won't even see this one in theaters. I might see it in theaters, but I will not be there the first day.
We kind of need you to go report on it.
Oh my gosh, we're not sending him.
I guess I might be there then, won't I?
What better job could there be than sending someone, being... your job is to go watch movies for us.
Well, a lot of people would sign up for that. We didn't put that in the job description for the Riot
that was not in there.
For just the price of a couple cartons of ice cream, you could go see the movie and we'd get a whole day of content out of it.
So in the new trailer that came out for Venom yesterday, they say it's this fall, and they're still, it looks like online saying September 24th, but I can't tell. So I don't know if it's being moved or... Don't believe that.
Yeah,
that's basically what I'll leave it at.
Studios are starting to get a little more wary about when they're going to be releasing stuff because they are afraid of the pandemic rearing its head again, rearing its not as pretty as Woody Harrelson's head once again.
I wish we could ask and be like, why do you look so young? I didn't think you were that young.
Think of it as athleisure for your ears. Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
Amazon, in its ever-increasing push to become more and more a part of your life, not only is releasing a Lord of the Rings show eventually, they want
to marry you. They want everything about you.
Give them time, and they will offer a Amazon wife
a
for
wedding
you.
package.
But right now, what they want is your palm print, and they really want it. Remember last week we talked about how they were with the president's speech. He wanted people that were newly vaccinated to get $100, and at the time there were experts saying that could make some people that are already hesitant of the vaccine skeptical, because it's like, if it was so good, why do they have to pay me to take it?
It's a bit of, I feel like we've spent a little bit of time now being offered bribes for a lot of different things.
Yep.
And some are totally cool with it. Some are a little nervous about it.
Yeah.
And some don't think it's enough money. And some think it's too much.
Well, and it just sometimes, in that case, can come off as suspicious.
It is.
And I think we need to apply the same skepticism, if not more so,
To Amazon?
because they are offering everyone $10 to get your palm print.
$10 a day?
No, just $10.
$10 a month?
Just $10.
Who's doing anything for $10?
It's Amazon $10.
Oh,
though.
that's
Think
so
of what you
cheap.
could spend it on.
Nothing. It's
Think
tax.
you could get a knockoff, like one of those drawstring bags from China for $10 on Amazon.
No,
you probably get two of them.
They always say you can get some Amazon Basics batteries.
Yeah, there you go.
So Amazon launched Amazon One last September.
Mm-hmm.
And basically for its company stores, it's a way to check out for you to put your hand over the scanner.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes your palm print based on the patterns, just like with your phone and stuff.
Yeah.
If you have an iPhone, and the information can you use then to verify payments in stores instead of using something else. Amazon One is currently used in 50 U.S. locations.
Yeah, so this is something that they would use particularly, I think, for Whole Foods at the moment.
Yeah, and their
because
Amazon Go shops.
Yeah, and they're saying the advantage is it's more secure because your palm print is completely unique to you, and it's not like somebody can steal your hand.
Yeah.
So, and you always, and this was the thing, they say you always have your palm print with you. So it's better because the counter argument to all of those things is, so is like your phone or contactless payment cards are also completely unique, but those technically could be stolen, but also Amazon, or you don't necessarily have those with you all the time, according to Amazon. Who doesn't have their phone with them at all times?
Well, they just that also makes you a little cautious because you're like, they just want your palm print.
Yeah.
They just want it. So what you can do, if you want to, if you're at one of their Amazon stores, you sign up at a kiosk in the store and you follow the instructions. You let them take your whole body scan. No, not really. You sign into your Amazon account. They scan your palm print, and then you get an email claiming your reward. It's available in any product sold by Amazon. It's $10, and then that's it.
Wow, what a
$10.
what a reward.
I don't want to feel like entitled, but I feel like $10 is not enough.
It's not enough for almost anything.
I don't want to go to a kiosk.
Remember earlier this year, it was only a couple weeks ago, Subway had their million free sub giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
And they couldn't even give away all million
want
free
to.
subs. This is basically that, except it's not even a free $10. It's you have to give up your palm print. You have to sign away part of your body to Amazon, to the company store.
I don't want to scan. I just want to go, because even the one grocery store over there, you just put it in your cart. It scans it while you're doing it, and then you just walk out.
Do you actually
leave.
do that, or have you just seen it?
I've just seen it because
I've never seen a single person do that, by the way.
I don't go into the store.
Yeah, I know you. Nikki's not a good test subject for that.
I'm not,
kind of
because
stuff.
I'm like, hey, can you bring it to me, please? I'll pay you. I'll give you my extra $10.
Yeah.
Just wait. That's the extra part of your tip.
Yeah, you can't really do the Amazon palm print pay from your car, I don't think. So,
oh well.
This is I'm just saying, let's just treat this with a healthy dose of skepticism. Although, to be fair, most people are already letting Amazon listen to every single one of their conversations inside their own home without batting an eyelash.
I don't feel like this is the mark of Amazon. So I don't think of it like that, but it's also, my palm is worth more than $10.
Yeah, it is. Your palm is worth at least $25.
I think so. Or I think $50.
If you can't get a good palm scrub with it,
then you're not going to.
Then it's not enough money.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Refuse to set up my own Instagram, but I'll post on the RadioU stories.
Why can't you just set up your own?
People
want to see what you're doing.
I'm showing them on the RadioU Instagram every so often.
And maybe it's better not to show it there. Maybe it's not the best.
The only thing that can come of me making an Instagram is either me not using it at all or me revealing more things about myself that nobody wants to know, and not like...
What if they unfollow because of you?
Yeah, they're just going to think... You know what they're going to think? They're going to think I'm not cool.
Oh, they're going to think you're... Well, I will say this. What you unveiled yesterday, you've mentioned before.
Yep.
And I feel like now, especially in the last year or so, people stream the weirdest things.
Yeah.
And they watch whatever, like even if it's from like 80 years ago, they're still watching it. So things don't have the same... I don't know.
Shelf life?
Yeah, shelf life.
Yeah,
that's a great way to
expiration
put
date.
it. And so you're going to watch what you're going to watch. Yours is an odd choice. I will say that. But if you want to, then that's fine.
I just felt... the reason I posted it is because I felt especially self-conscious last night as I decided what to watch.
Then don't post it. That'll make you feel worse.
Well, I thought it's content. It's entertaining. People reacted to it, and some of them positively.
So what were you watching?
So as I searched for something to watch last night, I've got access to basically every streaming service. Out of all of them, I land on Peacock.
That's one.
Warning sign. That's the first bad sign, right? Then, which I'm not paying for, and I don't even have somebody else paying for it. I'm just using the free version.
Sure.
Because I don't want to support them anymore.
That's supporting them.
They don't have that much that I'm interested in. They just have one thing. But then it added extra insult to injury for just my self-esteem that I had to scroll past all of the Olympics, blue, Olympics. What's the other thing? Dr. Death. Some people like that, or The Good Fight, or is Star Trek stuff on Peacock? I don't know.
That's the CBS one, which turned into Paramount Plus.
There you go. Okay, so that wasn't on there. It was some other space thing, Battlestar Galactica or something on that. And so they're advertising all that stuff, and I have to scroll past all of that so that I can land on The Munsters, black and white TV show about monsters, like a Frankenstein type guy.
Is it 80 years ago or not?
It's 1960s.
1960s?
Yeah. Not the 1860s, fortunately. I haven't gone back that far. Yeah,
1964. And you just like it. I
like The Munsters. It's fine. It doesn't sound like you think it's fine.
I want to be supportive. Did your dad watch it? Like, is it a family thing?
No.
No?
No.
I was hoping you grew up like you
Not
made
that
you
I know
watch
of. Not that. Oh, but you know what, though? This is a fact that nobody will be interested in, but I'm still going to share.
Send it with all the other stuff.
Fred Gwynne is the star of The Munsters. He plays Herman Munster, who is basically Frankenstein. And he lived... I used to drive past his house because once he was done with his acting career, he moved out to rural Maryland and just kind of lived a quiet life.
Maybe that was why.
He could do. I didn't know until after I started watching the show. And then I had to start and then see now I'm so embroiled in The Munsters that I start looking up about the actors and their lives outside of The Munsters.
We're supportive people, right?
Yeah.
So if that's what you want to watch, I don't understand it at all, but maybe that's because I haven't seen it. It only has 2 seasons, so it's not like it'll take you too long to get through it.
I saw the first season. I'm still on the first season, and it's like 38 episodes. So
did they have longer seasons?
It was a different time. It was a different time in many ways. And I noticed that it's
There's
not that they make this
70 episodes.
70 episodes. So it'll take me a while to get through that. So be prepared for more Munster updates on the RadioU Instagram.
I beg of you to maybe don't put it there. Just make your own and share your own stuff. Share your heart there.
Or just keep it to myself from now on, you think?
No, I want you to have an outlet. I do. And this show is that. And that's good that you're watching something. I bet it's really nice.
Well, but people are
it's
supposed to...
It's not mean like all of our other shows we watch.
People are supposed to connect with me, and I don't think many people that...
it's hard.
...that are listening to...
It's hard. I bet it's hard. You have very, like, your opinions about, like, sports teams. Every time you're like, is that a team we like? You're like, no. So for TV shows, it's the same way. You're like, is that a show we're supposed to like? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I'm not. I'm just totally taking a dump all over the new Lord of the Rings.
I know.
But I will go to bat for the Munsters from 1964.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.